While the world watches Trump's cognitive decline, I mean, his brain is like a tuna fish sandwich left in a car on a hot summer day, Trump still manages to praise dictators who murder their own people and threaten our friends and allies around the world.
In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
Now, when you hear what I'm about to play, when you hear Trump questioned by the New York Economic Club about the delicate balance between trade and security with a menacing world power, well, what do you expect from him? I know the answer, but you have to see it.
As you alluded to, tariffs are the other side of sanctions. And given that China is our major trading partner with our largest imbalance and possibly our chief national security threat to the United States, how can we better institutionalize trade policy and national security policy to be coordinated?
So I had a great relationship with President Xi of China, really very close relationship. Now, look, he likes China, I like us, but I don't want to sound foolish. He was my dear, dear friend. He's a tough guy. He's a fierce person. I say very smart. You know, when you say he's smart, the fake news goes crazy. He said President Xi is smart. And I say, you know, he controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. He's smart. But we had a very good relationship with.
Okay, now forget about the part where Trump calls Xi a dear, dear friend who controls 1.5 billion people with an iron fist. Focus instead on Trump's inability to even partially address the question. He's incapable because his mind is gone.
Caracas, Venezuela has almost no crime. Next year, I'm going to suggest that the Economic Club hold its meeting in Caracas because we'll be safer than we are in our country if they win. We'll be far safer.
Now just think about how stupid you have to be to say that. Then think about how stupid you have to be to clap for that.
But Trump not only shows more respect for world dictators than he does for Republicans and Democrats here.
I want to be a dictator.
His fawning over them threatens our national security. From Kim Jong-un.
Chairman Kim would like to have another meeting. And we'll go back and forth. And then we fell in love.
To Putin, Erdogan, and MBS.
I love the Saudis. Many are in this building.
Trump's sociopathy is center stage. He only cares about himself. And when that economic forum asked him about the needs and concerns of U.S. families, we'll watch.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. You know, I was we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that, because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare.
This is why Harris's numbers have exploded. It's why so many prognosticators are predicting now that Harris will win. Harris is smart, but when you look at Trump, when you listen to Trump, you realize that people are voting for Harris not so much because of her qualifications, which are solid, but because the alternative is a nightmare.
People, while they live in safety, in many cases behind walls, you know that. Nancy Pelosi has a big wall wrapped around her house. Of course, it didn't help too much with the problem she had, did it?
I dare you to give me an example where Trump intelligently explores a policy with any nuance whatsoever.
When I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of our American suburb.
When Trump says he's going to tax China through tariffs and it'll be great for the American people, you can see he has no fucking idea what that means. If we put a tariff on China's goods coming here, they'll raise the prices of those goods. You don't need to be Stephen Hawking for that one. And that means prices for those products go up and the sales go down. And that means businesses lay off people. And that's the start of a recession, but with higher prices. That's called stagflation. But you could simply call it Trump.
Then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection.
Then, of course, there's this guy.
Childless cat lady.
In the aftermath of the school shooting in Georgia, Vance uttered what might be the most disgusting and offensive comments you can make in the hours after such a tragedy. While the 2 dead children and the 2 dead teachers' bodies were still warm, he said this.
Now look, the Kamala Harris answer to this is to take law-abiding American citizens' guns away from them. That is what Kamala Harris wants to do. He says, look, I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life.
Yeah, he said that. Here's a fact of life, you prick. This nation averages a mass shooting like this every day. And it's young people like this 14-year-old or the 20-year-old who took a shot at Trump who, through their sickness, are telling everyone who will listen that there are too many guns and not enough mental health care for this CDC-accredited disease of gun violence. Here's how dim-witted these mopes are. Whereas Trump couldn't answer this question because of his waning mental acuity.
Can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable?
J.D. Vance will prove once again that he is incapable of saying anything that's not insulting to women, regardless of age. In one fell swoop, he manages to insult mothers, grandmothers, and professional caregivers.
We've got a lot of people who love kids.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
He's saying raising kids isn't really like work. I mean, you're just staying home and watching TV while they nap.
Who would love to take care of kids, but they can't, either because they don't have access to the education that they need, or maybe more importantly, because the state government says you're not allowed to take care of children unless you have some ridiculous certification.
This could be my favorite. While Republicans have been threatening to cut Social Security while making you wait till you're 70 to qualify, Vance is telling families, just ask grandma to spend 10 hours a day with the young kids.
Like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more.
But grandma can't get Social Security, so to pay her rent, she has the overnight manager job at Jack in the Box.
I never liked him. As somebody who doesn't like Trump, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton.
Political alliances aren't always pretty. Eisenhower hated Nixon, Kennedy hated Johnson, Reagan hated Bush, Clinton hated Gore, but Trump is a true sociopath who's incapable of any relationships. So he chose a guy who openly hated him. Vance is young and, unlike Tiny Fingers, ambitious. He would stab Trump in the back at the first opportunity. That is, if anyone cared. MAGA's like a cancer, infecting both the weak of mind and the soulless.
She can go to hell.
But one thing neither of these guys counted on was a pent-up disgust Americans have for both of them.
The world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Man, did Walz nail that. They're simply weird. But don't underestimate their intentions. And while Harris's momentum continues to build, Vance continues his cross-country foot-in-the-mouth tour. This time, Vance was cuddling up to Tucker Carlson, who was defending a racist historian questioning the Holocaust and praising Hitler. How did all this happen? How did Trump ascend to the top of the Republican Party? Well, first, there is no more Republican Party. There's MAGA. And while earlier this week, Cheney joined fellow conservative Adam Kinzinger in supporting Harris, the rest of the party just stares at Tiny Fingers like they just got a bad test result from the free clinic. What went wrong?
I don't remember.
Vance is young and ambitious and without any courage or character. He will never be Trump. Trump, however, is the real thing. A con, a grift of historic proportions. He captured the very worst of America. He fed them nothing but lies and frightened them with nothing but hate. I mean, think about the events of the last 8 years. Trump's long association with Putin created an alliance with a murderous dictator who every day threatens the U.S. with nuclear weapons and helped get Trump elected in 2016. And now we're learning that the Republican Congress is getting millions from dark Russian groups, all in a thinly veiled attempt to get Trump back in office. What we have here is the perfect marriage of insane and insincere. And should Trump once again seize the reins of power, no one will be safe. Even you, hillbilly JD. Just ask your predecessor.
Pence Cave, we're gonna drag through the street.
Oh my.
I'm ready, let's go.
Damn right.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Don.
Who's with me?
Oh yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
TikTok.
We're in a lot of trouble, Donna.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.